be here, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic as it relates to be intentional. So, a little bit about me. I'm an executive director at City Impact, which is a faith-based nonprofit in North Lincoln. I am from Chicago. I'm a Chicago native, and I moved here in 2022 to work at City Impact. And thank you all for joining online as well. See how we have to do that. My background is a lot in higher ed. I also received, I have 3 master's degrees, so education, business, and 1 in theological studies. And so I went to seminary. Seminary is really what really shaped me a lot of times as far as life and what that really means, and brought a lot of purpose to me. So I'm a licensed minister. I also have chaplaincy experience. And now the nonprofit world, which is totally a new world for me because my life has always been education. And I'm also an active learner. I love to learn. I love to just know new things as it relates to self, as it relates to how one needs to take care of themselves and how that needs to look. So, enough about me. We're going to get into a couple of questions that I want you all to really think about before we get into why are we having this, why am I here, and talking about the Be Intentional. I call it the Be Intentional movement because it should be about us. This is wellness. This is a place that helps you get your body together, get your spine aligned so we can move around better. But it also, this specifically has to do with how do we shape our minds? What does that look like? And how do we think about ourselves? So I want you all to answer a question for me. One of my quotes, and here's my book for those who don't have it, but it's called Be Intentional. I call it a workinal. It's a workbook journal. And it's a lot of focus around you. So you have to find time to sit with yourself to answer a lot of these questions. One of the quotes in here has to do with how heavy do you carry your load? And so when you think about your life, when you think about who you are now, how would you define that? That's the first question. So for all of you all that's watching me, if you have a pen and some paper, a question that I used to always feel uncomfortable with is when someone say, tell me about yourself. Especially when you're going for an interview. Because it's like, what? It's so much to say, and it's always a book thing to kind of like, okay, I know what they want to hear. But really when you think about that question of who am I, then I want you to let that saturate a little bit and write down, who are you? How would you define yourself right now today? So let's do that. For all of you all who might be watching too. How would you define yourself? Thank you. Piece of paper. You can participate. Second question, while y'all are kind of summing it up. What load do you carry? What load do you carry?
Oh.
What load do you carry? Because I want you all to answer that as we go forward. And so we'll do a little verbal exercise as you all thinking about this. Those two questions was what helped me, I would say, shape this book and complete this book. I have not arrived fully. I'm still becoming, and I think we all do. I think for anyone who says that they have arrived, and I kind of will have a big question mark to that, because it's like, oh, okay, so you have nothing to kind of work on, or you're just perfect, or what really does that look like for you? So this book, it was derived from me thinking about all the people that I have met with in life, that I have talked to, that I don't want to say counseled, but I would say that I have walked with, to help answer some of those questions or some things that they were like struggling with or battling with, challenging with, to help them to discover how they needed to answer that. Because it's not all about me answering the question for you. I think we all have the answer. It's just spending time enough with ourselves to be able to figure out what that answer is. The first chapter of this book, the concept of this book is stop, drop, and roll. Do y'all remember where that came from? Yep, back in the day, the Fire Association will come to the school and will tell you how to, if you're on fire, how to put the fire out, right? Stop, drop, and roll. So that concept I put in this book, because I said, what do I need to stop doing? Mm-hmm. What in my life do I need to just stop? I need to reflect. And I need to kind of think about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And there's a lot of books about that I ask you about the why you do what you do, and that's professionally and personally. But why am I doing what I'm doing? Why have I done what I did? And pausing it so I can get ready to reshape that. So the first chapter of this has a lot of exercises and conversations as it relates to that. And that's why I say this is not a book that you can pick up and you can just fly through it. That's not even how this was designed. I still pick this book up, and I still go through a lot of different exercises for myself. The second chapter is the drop. What do I need to drop? Who do I need to drop?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. There's no age to people that you're around. If those people are life-giving, if they're benefiting you, if they are celebrating you, if they're not. If you have questions about a situation, or why did they do that, or why did they say that, or why do I feel this way when I'm around this group of people, or why don't I correct things that people say or do to me? What is that about? So the stop chapter has a lot to do with you looking at all of who's around you, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and really stop doing it. Because if it's not benefiting you, then what's the purpose? So it goes into a lot of exercises with that, and that's intentional actions. And then the third is roll. So once you stop, once you've done all of that work, once you drop, figure that part out, then how am I going to roll out the new? Who is this new person? I am 54 years old. I don't care, I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm in my 50s, okay? And so, I did a lot of this because, one, I recognized that I am not who I was when I was 40. I'm not who I was in the last year. We are forever, or should be forever, evolving. As we come to this Turning Point Chiropractic office, and we do things to help reshape, get us back aligned, then why can we have that concept as it relates to our life? Why do we take for granted things that we do? We wake up, God gives us the grace to wake up every day, a new day. No day is the same. The sun, the sky is not even the same. Birds fly differently. I mean, you really wake up to a new opportunity, a new day to do things differently? Why do you have to continue to do things the same? What is that? And I do know that there's people that do that. Like they have a routine. There's a routine. I have a routine every morning. I wake up at 4:30. I don't know why I'm menopausal. That just happens. I wake up at 4:30. I do all of my ritual things, meditate, pray, read, whatever, get myself ready for what my day is going to be. I acknowledge God for who He is. If you're not a God person, then okay, however that needs to look for you. I recognize that this is a new day for me. How am I going to show up in this day? What is that going to look like? I have to do all of the things mentally to make sure that I am not getting off my square, as they call it. Now, you can't control things in a day. You can't control people. You only can control yourself. And if you recognize that you can't control people and you only can control yourself, then it's being careful in how you do that, how you respond, how you think. I can't remember quite the number, but our thoughts, we think negatively more than we do positively. And so a lot of times we have to reshape that. You should. And there's a reshaping when it comes to how we need to roll out the concept of I've learned from the past, my present, now I'm building so I can be a better person and how I need to move and flow in the future and what that needs to look like. I have a picture of myself in every part of my room when I was younger. I have one in the bathroom when I was a baby that they take, when you come out from mother's womb. And then I have one when I was a certain age, probably like kindergarten, and then I have one when I was in 4th grade. Except me being an infant. Those pictures that I look at, it's like, wow, I remember that. And I even remember how I felt at that age. And I wonder, with one picture, I look to see that, I see that picture and I say, that picture defined the beginning of who I was and how I moved throughout my life. And as an adult, I didn't know that 4th grade picture was that. I was an introvert. I still am. I just do a lot of extrovertish things. But I was an introvert. And I remember bullying wasn't something that people did they didn't say it back in the 70s, but people were just mean. And so I wore glasses as a young girl, and in the 70s that just was not popular for you to wear glasses in kindergarten. And people weren't kind to me. But when I got up to 4th grade, and I was very shy, and I remember my girlfriend saying, we need to try out for the majorettes at this school. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's too much. And I was just very nervous about that. But I did it, and I made it. And I looked at that picture a couple of weeks ago, and I said, oh my God, it just came to me. That was the beginning of me stepping out, doing something different. And I can peg every situation from middle school to high school to college to adult life to working in the various jobs that I work in, being an executive director going around. Come on. That's the most extroverted thing that you can possibly be. But it started in 4th grade. Can you believe that? So reflecting, there's nothing wrong with reflecting. There's nothing wrong with thinking about the past and past things that have happened, situations and occurrences and people that you've met and people that you do. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get stuck. Don't allow that to get you stuck. But learn from that and then see who you are at this rightful age that you are. And always continue to celebrate yourself. The 4th chapter has a lot to do about transition, about legacy. How do you want to leave life? What are you doing for that? If you have kids, that's a wonderful way to leave legacy. Do you volunteer? Working with people, that's great. But what do you want people to say about you? If you just by happen to leave this life, what would be those things that you want people to say? So let's get into some questions right now because I kind of want to hear that. I want to stir that. But that was a snapshot of what this is. It's something to take your time with as a professional in your career. It's something for you even to do even with that, like, why do I operate the way I do? How am I leading? How am I showing up? What does that look like every day? If you're in school, same thing. How am I showing up in class? What is my mood like? Why am I in this mood? Maybe I need to check myself. You know, did I say this wrong to somebody? If you're married, if you have older kids, if you have grandkids, that's a legacy. You know, how do you want to bring them up? What do you want to do with that? How do you want to shape that? You know, am I the person that I know that I can be? Am I my best self? That's just not something that I just say. Being my best self means that I have done the work to get to this place in life to prepare me for whatever my future is. We don't know. All we can do is plan our future, but it doesn't mean that that is going to live out that way. So what am I doing right now that would say to me that I'm living the best life that I can, and I feel good about that? So let's answer some questions. Let's answer the first question. Let's see what you all put. Who are you? Who wants to answer that?
Oh, come on.
Your name is Mike?
Michael, yeah.
Michael. Okay, Michael, what you got?
Who I am? I'm just kind, forgiving, and helpful, but that's just a description, I think. Or other than Michael, I didn't give it much thought. But I did concrete all my life, so kind of early bloomer and an early burner outer, I guess.
Okay.
Tired, beat up.
Okay, well, the fact that you said that
Trying to get healthier
Okay.
and move on and live longer, better.
But I like what you said, the characteristics of yourself. You're kind, you're helpful.
Yeah,
What's the other one?
forgiving.
Forgiving? Those are great characteristics. But it's something for you to think about, right?
How to improve, yeah,
Yeah.
and what to drop or leave behind. I've done a lot of that, so
Okay. You've done some good work.
it's all right. I mean, I can't complain. That's for one.
I think it's phenomenal. It's not just all right. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's great work that you know what to drop and how you need to kind of reshape it. So let's stop with that, and then we'll get to your second one. What was yours? What's your name first?
My name's Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man of God, father, husband, grandfather, pursuer of better health.
Okay.
Because I mean, my life's busy. Our granddaughter lives with us. My daughter lives with us. So we have a lot going on, and then I'm really involved in church. I work at a job that I lead other people, but at the same time, still making it a priority to come and make myself better.
Yeah.
And so that's why I come to Dr. Lynn's to help with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, changing diet and exercise and all that stuff too.
Okay. I love that.
So.
All right. Gotcha. Let's go question.
Hi. I'm Carolyn.
Carolyn.
And as you were talking, Mike, I was thinking, I wish I wrote those 3 things down. I'm finding it helpful because I would like to be those things. That's wonderful. I did attributes too. I put curious and explorer, playful and a thinker, and a learner and a musician. That's what I do.
Okay. I love that. Ooh, what do we got?
I enjoy launching people into their calling by helping them see a positive, possible future using their gifts.
So you enjoy doing that, and so who are you?
Who am I?
The person who does that.
I'm the launcher. I'm the
You're
launch
the
pad.
launcher.
You're the launch pad. Okay.
Launcher.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't here for that question.
Yeah, I'm late to the game.
That's okay.
Go
That's
fast,
all right.
go fast. Who are you?
Who are you?
One thing I can say, I don't know, are we all believers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I'm not sure if the audience is, but one thing I can say, God wants us to know who we are. God has created us. We are a part of God. We are shaped and formed. I won't say shaped, but we're formed as God would want us to be. And one of the things that is great is if that's something that you want to know more about, it's an exercise of that, and then we'll talk quickly about that, ask God, show me me.
Mm.
God did that for me. Yeah, I had some work to do. And I also did some other things to kind of help me to see me in other people's eyes that I trusted and I loved, that would be honest about how they saw me. Because how you see yourself is not necessarily how others see you.
Mm.
And that's called a Johari window. So we'll talk a little bit quickly about that, which is getting people. I got 8 people, and I said, you know, just give me a description. Like, what do y'all think about me? Tell me about me. Just write it down. And then I met with them separately, and I found a theme that I didn't like.
Oh.
And this was like family, close, very close friends. The theme was I'm bossy. I didn't like that. I'm not bossy. I mean, I think I take charge, and I think, you know, if I love you, I love to do things to like show them, you know. But you know, he was like, yeah, but that's not always warranted. We don't always need that. And so it was some hard stuff. It was hard to take in, but when I took it and I sat back, didn't say it didn't hurt my feelings because it did all of that, did all of it. But I had to work on me and say, okay, if everybody is saying the same thing, now they had a lot of good stuff too, but that was the one thing. If everybody has that, then I need to, how I see myself, that's just not working. I know my intent, but that's not what I'm giving off. And so I had to work on that. It took a while, and I gave them permission that if I was doing something that was unwarranted, you have the permission to check me, to correct me. And trust me, they do. Okay? But that's an exercise because the Johari window, you know you, others know you. There are things that you know that other people don't know you, and then there's a window that only God knows. Okay? And so that's a good exercise to do, and it's in here if you all ever want to do that. Let's get to the second question. What load do you carry? Whoever, yeah.
Just being old and
Is that a load?
well,
Okay.
that needs maybe some special needs acquired, or then I seem to be limited than when I was younger. And as far as the load goes, just being, you know, me, I guess, and I guess I like to change, but I don't want to be changed by someone, but just try to get along, coexist or whatever. I mean, a load.
I like that, man.
I guess I try not to, what they say, have luggage or something like that.
Baggage.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And just, yeah,
Okay. All right.
be easy going.
Easy going. Okay. I'll take that.
Mine kind of go along with the first one. So obviously, you know, my responsibility to be the main one in our house that my wife and I both work. But you know, the financial part of it, the responsibility I have to protect my family. You know, like I said, we're raising our granddaughter, so she doesn't have really a father figure. So not only am I a father figure to my kids, but also my granddaughter as well.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, leading the team that I have at work, as well as the teams that I lead at church, and then the teams that I lead in my family, how I lead my family, preparing them for life. And the majority of I call them kiddos because a lot of the kids I supervise at where I work, they're all the age of, you know, of my sons. So to me, they're much, much younger. So I'm just kind of preparing them for what leadership and what work and responsibility and all those things that I have. So I carry a lot of just things that a godly man would carry. So
Okay.
That's cool.
yeah.
I think as the getting older makes the carrying of the load a little,
Yeah.
a little different. I do feel that. I think what Doug's saying here, responsibilities maybe is kind of how I interpreted load. Thinking about that is it's not in the sense of like a burden, because I think I'm
Being a
a
burden,
teacher,
yeah.
and so part of the load is the
Don't wanna
students
be burdened.
and the responsibility for what they're doing. I'm the daughter of an aging mother, and so it's a wonderful thing in its way because she's still here, but it's also a responsibility, to think about and administrator at work and take care of the house, those kinds of things, and they change weights daily, depending on kind of what season it is and what's going on with that. So
I mean, it's similar stuff: family, business, finances.
Yeah.
Self-care is a load.
Exactly. Good point. You're right there. Yeah.
I think for me, so like I try to catch up with like question 1, but I'd say it's like similar to that. Like I'm a wife, like I'm the Lord's servant, so I want Him to use me in any way He wants me to, even if that's not what I want. Like I want to be willing always. I'm also a student. I have lots of siblings, so I try to be a good role model for them. So I'm just doing everything that I do, like to the best of my ability. So.
Now, what did the Bible say about a load? Carrying a load. Don't say it that way, but what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to cast our cares on Him. I think all the things that we experience, aging, getting older, not being able to do like we used to, the responsibility of teaching, responsibility of raising and being that one, and work, and all of the things that go into all of that. Whatever problem we have, and I don't do a lot of God talking here, but because we're all believers, and because I experience it, I'm still experiencing it now. What I find interesting is we are to do that. We pray, we ask God, we're supposed to share with God. First of all, God knows anyway, right? But we are to share, we are to express all of the things that's going on with us and what's happening. And we are to leave it. So what does it mean to leave it? Why is it so hard for us to leave it? Because reality says, and that a thought says, this is what we're in every day, all day. This is what we're feeling. I can't necessarily change it. It's what it is. And it's not for you to change. It's for you to see, which this is talking about, how do I need to reshape that? What is the perspective? What are ways that I can get help? What are ways that I can get others to support? Why am I carrying all of this by myself? Because I'm the head of the house, because I'm a teacher and I have responsibility in other ways, because of all the things that you mentioned and all the things that you. Why? Because God didn't want us to live this life having to suffer, having to bear burdens, having to be stressed out, because what does stress do? It's a silent killer. And it has no advantage to our body. And so yes, and I'm going to always use this place because we're here, but yeah, we can get work done. That's a process, though. It's not that you come and this is a one-stop, you come one visit and then everything is taken care of. It's a process. So the faith that we have in God, and if we believe the Word to be what the Word is, that means we need to exercise that to strengthen us so the situation is not controlling us. How do I know that that's true? I'll tell you how I know that that's true.
Experience.
It's a daily said that negativity consumes us more than positivity? Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That means you have to do the work to speak to yourself and say, although this is a hard thing, although this is a challenge and a battle, God, I believe that you can help me with this and give me the strength, because God does not all the time take it away. We're to trust it. We're continuously acting upon that, though. And we're saying, yep, this is hard, but how can I change my thought with this? How can I change my perspective? How do I need to look at this? What are some ways that can shape? And that might mean, I say talking to people, because I'm an advocate for therapy. I'm an advocate for having people around you in your community, whatever that might look like, that you can have the conversation and say, listen, it's a lot going on. I just need to vent, or I just need to talk this through. There's many ways. We don't have to carry the load. We have people, should, if not, then it's like, how can I get that help? You know, like you have people, but you also have a spiritual part of life that is supposed to be strong enough to help us. An alarm.
It's gonna blow.
To help us. It's an alarm, people. If you have
Just give it to Jesus.
There you go. See that? It was just taken away. But that part of that spiritual walk, it has a lot to do with, it's a walk. It's a continuum. It's not a stay. So be intentional has a lot, living an intentional life has a lot to do with you being clear about why you're feeling, doing, thinking the way you are. It doesn't mean it's going to always be perfect. I mean, we're just not. Seeing an interview just changed a whole lot of stuff. Okay? But we are to continuously encourage ourselves, speak to ourselves, and reshape what that thought is. Bring new perspective. How am I going to be intentional about this walk? And to keep moving. I always use, the story, of David and him talking about, my Lord walked through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Well, see, he didn't stop in the valley of the shadows. He kept going. Although he had it, he knew that God was the strength to bring him through that. It was an actual valley, a lot was happening, but it's a continuum. The moment you stop, you contemplate, you allow the thoughts to keep going, which affects us physically and emotionally. So I would say the life of intentionality has a lot to do with being purposeful about why you do what you do, why you feeling what you think, being honest with yourself and saying, it's okay. This is a hard thing. I'm gonna get through this. Figure this out. Have help to figure it out, but it's gonna work out.
So that's the roll part. You keep
The
rolling.
rolling
Is that right?
is the revamping.
Oh,
It's the renewal of you. The rolling out anew. Right? It's, how does that look for me at this age? How does that look for me right now? What you did last year is not going to work for right now. Well, Mr. President, but I won't say that. Scratch that. But anyway, it's different. Yesterday is different than today. If today was the same as yesterday, it's like ground. Y'all remember the movie Groundhog Day? Then it's like the same thing you're doing. You kind of know how to kind of move and shape. Here we had, but that's not what life is. Life is all about the new day, learning from the past. the stop drop, that's the work. The rollout is, how am I going to be anew? And what does that mean? And then the transition has a lot to do with, now how do I take all of this and how do I give this to someone else?
And that's the leadership part?
That's the transition. That's chapter 4. That's the leaving the legacy. That's how do I do that without losing myself? Sometimes we can do too much. Sometimes we can give too much of ourselves. And then what do we have to fill our cup? And that's why pastors and that's why leaders, some leaders, they don't sabbatical. They don't need things. Because even Christ had to steal away. Many times. Because he needed to get strength. He needed to talk to his Father. Then he could step back out into ministry and do what he needed to do. So why is it so hard for us to care about ourselves that much? To give us a pause in the day. You gotta pause the day. You gotta take a pause. And you gotta sit and get yourself back together so you can continue what that day is. I do it often and always. I have to. Because I'm always drained. It's always a lot going on. So you gotta find it. Find it at all your busy. Find your pause.
Gather.
You just stop, drop, and roll. If you don't remember anything else that I said, you don't remember that because that's just embedded in us from the past. But the stop, drop, and roll to be intentional is work. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.